Welcome to the Nick Fit Studios podcast. I'm your host, Jack Ryan, and for today's episode, I am joined by Joey Von Medding, filmmaker, Nick Fit success story, purveyor of the vibe, and a man with a story about the weirdest workout he's ever had in his life that happened this morning. Tell me.
Yeah, I'll take that intro any day.
Take that intro. What happened this morning?
Fuck. So, am I allowed to swear?
What he just did.
Sorry, I started with it was the first word. Okay, so there you go. You can bleep that if you want, I guess. It's up to you. So this morning had the weirdest workout ever. I'll tell you a little bit of context so you can understand. So I'm a skater and I skate around, and I bumped into this group that I saw were doing like some weird CrossFit shit, like down by the marina, and they were doing they had like a boombox, and there was like 40 of them, and they were just like going to town, like doing all these weird like movements that I've seen on Instagram, but I've never done myself. You know, I've never tried anything like that, to be honest. And I'm relatively new to all this, so it just intrigued me. And as I passed them on the way back, I was like, what's going on here? Like, is it a class? And they're like, oh, it's just a group, it's just a CrossFit, people that are into CrossFit. So they're like, do you want me to add you to the WhatsApp group? I was like, yeah, sure, I'll come down someday. So I'm on the group in the last like week, like, welcome. It's like, oh, cool. And I know one person who's on it already. So I was like, this could be fun to try someday, you know, instead of like maybe a NickFit session, because it's going to be hard. So I can't do both on a Wednesday. So anyway, today was the day, right? I didn't get to do Saturday. And so I'm like, okay, Wednesday at 7. So I'm setting my alarm at like 6:15 this morning, getting up. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to seize it. Like, I've got the podcast recording, but let's get that workout in and let's like, you know, have fun with it. And I'll be able to like watch people doing CrossFit. So like, I don't know what I'm doing, but at least I'll be able to watch people that know what they're doing. So I decide, maybe ill-advised in hindsight, to skate with a 10 kg dumbbell. Oh my God, it was really hard. like I was like, oh shit, like I'm not going to have like a full tank at all to do this with the group, you know? And I'm like going to North Beach where there's like a park. But then I'm like really encouraged because like the sun is like rising from the clouds. I'm like, this is going to be amazing. It's like 6:30 and I'm there with a dumbbell, like struggling to skate there from Charlesland. I don't know how many kilometers it is, but it's hard. It was like, I was like working hard to get there. Yeah. And I finally get there and I just like taking in the sunrise. I'm taking pictures. I'm sending pictures to the group. Even though I don't know these people, I'm like, let's fucking do it. You know, it's like 6:58. Right? I've got like so much energy so early. Yeah. And then I'm all ready to go. And I'm like, and then it's like 7. I'm like, okay, they sent the workout earlier. So like maybe what I'm meant to do is just start and then people will just join. Like, you know, these are hardcore people. Like, I don't want to let them down. I want to start, you know, at 7 on the dot and like follow the program. So I just start doing it. And I'm like, I'm like looking up because there's no one around. So I'm like looking up like, what's a snatch? I don't know what that is. You know, like I've never done this stuff. I was like, I kind of vaguely remember seeing something on Instagram. So I'm like, start doing the movements and like push-ups or whatever. And about 20 minutes into the workout, I'm wrecked. Like I'm not even halfway through it. And then I get a text. It's like 7 p.m.
It's just 7 p.m.
Of course.
7 a.m.
Of course. Right? But it just made me laugh so much. It was like, oh my goodness. And then I'm there walking back, like the walk of shame on my own. But it was beautiful out. And it was such an amazing location. But it was just like on my own.
I just love the idea that that's all they sent was just 7 p.m.
Yeah, it was great though. I loved it.
Just 7 p.m.
Yeah, I loved it.
This guy who's out there at 7 a.m. taking pictures and doing dumbbell snatches.
No, it made me laugh so hard. And then on the way back, but then on the way back, it was like straight away, it was like, oh, how do I? And then straight away, I was like, this is so much fun. Like whatever the mistake, it was my mistake, but it led to all this like experience. And it was a really fun workout. Yeah. And like, you know, so I'm like calling Roberta, I'm like, hey, let's go get coffee, you know, because I'm too tired to skate home with this dumbbell. I was wrecked. And then on the way to the Fat Box, I'm just there like, well, it's in my hands. So I just do a few curls, you know, while I'm walking there. Yeah. And it was just a great morning. You know, that's the set of the day.
That sounds like a great morning. The weirdest workout I've ever heard of. 12 hours early, solo, with exercises you've never done before, with a group of people you don't even know.
And they're not there.
And they're not there. That's a tremendous story. Oh my God, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so that's how my day started.
Yeah.
And I just love that kind of shit, to be honest. Like, I love random, like, unexpected adventure.
Yeah, adventure is a great word. And I feel like your fitness adventure began about 18 months ago with us. I don't think 18 months ago Joey could have done a skate to the North Beach from Charles Land with a 10 kg dumbbell.
Dude.
No 10 kg dumbbell. Tell us a bit about
it's crazy,
tell us a
man.
bit about the Joey who joined NikFit back in the beginning.
It's crazy. Like, yeah, you've watched it, man. Like, at the same time, like, I feel like I was always kind of happy in myself, and, you know, I didn't come in all sad and everything, but yeah, like, I'm totally different now.
Yeah.
Like, my body's totally changed, and, like, I've developed loads of different practices and, like, refined certain things in my mind through as a result, and definitely, like, become more free in, like, lots of areas as a result of, like, the NikFit thing, you know, like, definitely, like, learned so much. And when I first came in here, I couldn't even do one push-up.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't do half the stuff that I now do.
Yeah.
Like, now I'm like, you know, to say that I couldn't even, like, wash my feet.
Yeah.
Like, that's
simple tasks like that.
That's simple things like that, like putting on socks. And, like, it was only like 6 months in that I realized, oh shit, I haven't, like, taken my foot and gone like that in the shower in, like, years.
Yeah.
Like, maybe like 7 years, just because I couldn't.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And it just naturally you stop doing certain things.
Yeah.
Or you just avoid it or whatever. So yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have been lucky enough to witness it. And I remember when you first came in, you were so brutally honest in the sense that you were like, I distinctly remember you saying, "I've never done anything like this ever." You were really just very clear with the way you said it, as in you weren't trying to hide the fact that you were not just a beginner, but a complete beginner in the fitness world. And you've had a 25 kilo fat loss journey, which is great. But I'm much more interested in what you're saying there, the way it's freed up your life, changed your lifestyle. Just keep going down that. Like, you've skated to the beach for a workout that was 12 hours later, but you still skated to the beach with a 10 kilo dumbbell. That's just such an amazing thing to be able to do.
Yeah, the skateboard as well. It's been like, it's almost like NikFit got me to the skateboard. Like, I couldn't get on the skateboard without doing the fat loss and the, like, working hard and being committed to, like, weight training and calorie deficit, all that stuff. It was all really important to get to the skateboard. I mean, the skateboard is then come alongside me as, like, another coach, another aid, another, like, inspiration, something that, like, teaches me new things every day, because it challenges me, because it's like, it's dangerous. It's dangerous as fuck to be on a skateboard, especially, like, at my age, I'm not, like, 12.
Yeah.
Right? That's the reality. So, like, when I fall pretty hard.
Yeah.
And especially in the first few months of skating, like, I had a few, like, falls. That's just natural. It's what happens when you skate. But it was, like, took me a while to heal. I was like, oh, I haven't, like, scraped up my knees in a while. And that, I don't remember it taking that long to heal.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But it's just become, because it's, like, it's different every time. The weather's different. The terrain's different. There's little stones that were, like, moved from this part of the path to this part of the path. Yeah. You've got to be really, really aware. And I think what it's done is it's allowed me to be really present. It's, of course, a form of transport, but it's more than that. It's become like meditation. Yeah. And it's become a place where I'm continually challenged, continually learn things, and also just enjoy it and have fun. It's like, what more would you want?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like, that's what the fitness journey is for a lot of people. And you've taken that outdoors into your own context with the skateboarding. It's like a challenge every single day. Like you say, every day there's something slightly different that challenges you that wasn't challenging you the day before. So continue, go on.
There's at least the opportunity for that. So, like, I feel like when I came in here, I didn't know how to move at all. I didn't know, like, how to kind of keep my back straight and how to not injure myself through movement. And so all the training and the coaching, the ongoing like correction from Nikafit, like months and months and months of that. It was like 8 months of that. And then I started skating.
Yeah.
And that's when I almost felt like, even the first few weeks, I wasn't that confident on the skateboard. Like I was a little bit like, still feeling a bit like imbalanced and like a bit heavy in my belly in terms of like holding your core straight and just being able to enjoy it because you don't feel like you're going to fall off all the time.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, over months, it's like all of a sudden you get more and more comfortable, consistency, you're doing it every day. All of a sudden you're taking that turn a little bit different.
Yeah.
You're like, I think I'm just about, maybe I'll try going a bit faster here and like jumping off this curb or maybe I'll start dancing. You know, I started dancing on the skateboard. I never danced in my life, but I started dancing. The skateboard just taught me how to dance.
Yeah.
And to the extent where it's like, now I'm like full on like jumping across rocks, like a gazelle or something. You know, it's bizarre.
Jumping across rocks like a gazelle. I think that's the name of the episode, Danielle. We'll put that down. Jumping across rocks like a gazelle. And you've documented, obviously we're going to get onto what you do for a living at some stage, but your Instagram, you've documented a lot of this there, just how you experience life now as your whole routine is built around movement, getting things done that you wouldn't have previously been able to do. There was a story about your helmet that you wear when you skate. What was that story? How did that seemed to be a very profound moment for you in your life?
Yeah, that was like quite emotional. Like bizarrely enough, I go to these rocks that are on North Beach, and they just became like a daily thing where I would skate from where I live, and I don't know, it's a couple of kilometers to this point in North Beach, and I would always like go a straight line towards the sea, down the marina, and then once I get to the, you know, where it's a dead end or it's a circle or whatever, I would just jump up onto the rocks. Quite a significant jump. So it's a challenge because you're naturally like sprinting usually the straight line because it's fun, and then when you get there, it's like, I don't know why, but I always had this urge to not stop and to just keep my momentum, just jump off my board, grab my board, and jump straight up, and then just run across the rocks as fast as I could, but while feeling safe. Not feeling in danger. Anyway, sometimes I just chill out there and just look at the sea or look at the sky or whatever, or listen to music. And I dropped my helmet for the first time, and it went down into some crevices, and it was probably like 5 feet below where I could get. It was like I could see it, but I couldn't climb down easily. So I was trying to figure out like, oh crap, what do I do here? And straight away, I just knew that I could do it. Like within a couple seconds, I knew that I could do it. And I kind of figured out, if I use my board and I like stick my arm completely into the rocks like that, and just fully extend, I'll be able to like use the board like that and just about hook it.
Yeah.
And all this calculation is within like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But I realized as I was doing it, like, I wouldn't have even thought to do that a year ago.
Yeah.
Because what was giving me the confidence was the fact that I built up a super amount of strength in my hand and in my arm, and then flexibility and mobility in my joints. Yeah. Like I didn't have that a year ago, so I couldn't have done it. And then when I actually did it, like it took me a while as well to do it, but I kept at it and I kept at it. It took me like 20 minutes to actually hook the wheel and like extending the thing down like this into the rock. And like I had my leg like this, like literally wedged up against another rock so that I wouldn't fall. Yeah. And I'm just like, and I finally did it, and I just like started crying. Yeah. Because I was like, I can't believe I just did that. You know, it just blew my mind. Because I just like, of course, like I've lived with my body for the last 10 years and I haven't been able to do stuff like that. Yeah. And I know that I wouldn't have had the confidence, the physical confidence to just pursue that as a thing.
There you go.
So, that was the helmet story.
Yeah, that's the helmet story. And we talk about changing lives through fitness. That's our kind of tagline at the gym. And you don't really consider things like that.
I know, it's so stupid.
That is life-changing, kind of a life-changing experience for you, because you went and did something that you literally physically wouldn't have been capable of doing.
Yeah, and it was fun.
And it was fun too. You got a great story out of it.
Yeah.
Because you are a storyteller, filmmaker, that's kind of what you do. This is, well, not kind of, it is what you do.
Yeah.
And you've recently taken on some exciting new directions with that. So just tell me a little bit about what you do. For a living.
Yeah, so I make videos. I mostly make documentaries. Had like a background more in like ads and that kind of stuff, music videos, promos. But now I'm like part of a director duo. We're called the Wonder Brothers, myself and a friend called Greg. And we both just like co-direct and edit and shoot together. And we started this year. We've been working together for about a decade, but we kind of made it official, and we're like pursuing like all kinds of different projects, long form, feature films, series, promos, ads as well. Like we actually did some work with you guys with Nikafit. You were in one of our ads.
Yeah.
Recently enough. But check us out, the Wonder Brothers. But yeah, it's been really exciting because ultimately we just love telling stories. We love working with sort of like-minded people that like love to get into these like weird little stories.
Yeah.
And we're all about that kind of stuff as opposed to I guess like more scripted, like it has to look this way or whatever. We much prefer like we're like a nimble duo, and we come in with our cameras and we don't really have big sets. That's not really our thing. We prefer keeping it a bit more flexible, a bit more natural. Mm-hmm. And we love drawing out the emotion and the authenticity in people's stories.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I've seen a small amount of your content, but what I have seen is exactly what you described there. And it's very real, and you're showing these stories exactly as they occur, kind of like what you did with yourself in your own Instagram account, like the little videos of you skating around the place or just doing something like rescuing your helmet from the rocks. Like it's all very like depicting, like you say, these little funny stories that are a little bit offbeat or a little bit quirky, which I described as like their words that probably apply to you just ever since I met you. But I would also be interested, like, so you're coming from that background.
Yeah.
You and your wife Roberta, who was also on the podcast a few weeks ago, the editor of the owner of Mums and Tots magazine. You guys joined the gym at the same time.
Yeah.
I think that's quite important, just in general, for people who are getting interested in fitness, to have someone there to support you in that journey. Tell me what that was like. Obviously, you and Roberta have been together for a long time. You can get into that. And then you decided at the beginning of 2020 it was time to join Nikafit. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, look, I always say, like, at the end of the day, we are a reflection of the people we spend the most time with. And so, like, you're going to have to take it up with Roberta, because everything you see is like a reflection of her. Like, she is the most incredible person I've ever met. And she is my biggest inspiration for sure. And she enabled the whole thing in terms of, like, because at the end of the day, we have 2 kids. And so we both started our own business when like pretty much at the same time as we started having kids, similar to like Niall and Katie. And it's a tough little time. It's a tough time, like, raising kids, and you're trying to like keep 2 businesses going. You're trying to pay the bills. You're also trying to like prioritize relationship and all that sort of stuff. And Roberta somehow managed to like grow this business of hers, like this magazine, from like nothing to like the leading sort of maternity magazine in the country. And just like effortlessly, while also like raising the kids. And like she did a lot of that sort of work when I was like working long hours in the movie business, well, you know what I mean, making ads and stuff.
Yeah.
So she's my biggest inspiration. She's the one that facilitated this kind of thing, because at the end of the day, she had like, because she got her business to a place where it was like sustaining us financially, it just meant that like when the opportunity did come around, it's like, look, the kids are a bit older. There's this Nikafit thing. What do you think? Like, for both of us,
yeah,
it was just like, I was able to say yes to it.
Yeah.
You know, I was able to be like, yeah, this time,
yeah,
it's a good time. And like, if I don't do anything else other than this for like 2020, that'll be a win, you know, for overall, for our family, for me personally.
Yeah.
So it was just like facilitated by Roberta.
Yeah, there you go. And I think fitness is so, it's such a thing to enjoy with others. Like you've talked about your own personal journey of it freeing you up and able to skate around Greystones and just feeling physically fitter and stronger all the time, and your lifestyle has changed. But I'm sure also your relationship with Roberta has evolved as a result of it as well, because it's something you do together, but it's also you see the benefits so clearly. It's not just a visual thing, it's everything else. So I just think it's pretty interesting that you have that moment where it's like, and of all years 2020, where
it was pre-pandemic.
It was pre-pandemic, but it was right before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Only a couple of months before we were asked to close our doors, and so you actually had the majority of your NicaFit experience at home. We'd done a lot of online Zoom classes together, and it was always funny just to watch the dynamic of you guys train together, because it's almost like that was more normal for you than actually being in the gym. So your fitness journey with NicaFit has just been completely different to what most people have experienced. You know?
Yeah.
So how do you think that has impacted your approach and your kind of mindset around it?
It's interesting. Like, I feel like I've had a good, it's actually felt quite balanced in some ways for me, because like maybe the online thing suited me at some points, because it was a bit more flexible, and it was fun because it was like a new thing that me and Roberta could do together. And, you know, especially at the start of lockdown, like, what the fuck was happening with the world? You know what I mean? It was like everyone was going crazy. No one knew what was happening. And it was just like, it was just a bit of a scary time as well. Like,
it was
just not knowing what was going to happen, and trying to communicate to the kids. Like, what do we tell them? Like,
why are you suddenly working out at home? Why are you suddenly working all from home?
Well, me and Roberta have been working from home for a while.
Okay.
So that was fine. It was more just like, all of a sudden we had like, we kind of looked forward to the online classes, like 1 hour a day where we could like, all of a sudden the kids couldn't bother us because it was like organized. It was like, look, mommy and daddy need to work out for an hour. Because it was pretty full on with like no school, no nothing. Yeah. And they're just like inside. They're not really allowed to go out. But it kind of worked out well. Like, they kind of, after a few weeks, they just kind of understood what was happening. And then as well, it's like, what a cool thing to model to your kids, that like, even through a pandemic, your parents are both like, no, this is important. Like, this is good for our mental health. This is good for our physical health, you know, and
setting aside that time.
Yeah. And then like, I was spending so much time with the kids. Like, Roberta was still working like through the whole thing. I wasn't really for a few months. And so we had these like few months where all of a sudden, like, we were like, okay, let's go to the beach today. And all of a sudden you're moving, and you're all moving as a family. And then like Robin is like teaching me gymnastics, and all of a sudden I'm doing handstands or headstands, because as I'm, you know, losing a bit of weight and developing more strength, I'm able to do those things as well. So that then becomes a really exciting part of life, where you're able to like interact with your kids on a different level, and then train with them. And like, so Robin, like my youngest daughter, she's like, her gymnastics ability has exploded since lockdown. And part of that is because I'm able to do it with her now, and we're able to pop on a track and like do choreography, and she's able to teach me a new move, and then she's able to try a move because I'm there with her and able to support, like, you know, what she's trying to do. And
it's kind of a unique opportunity in your life to, like you said, like experience that with them in a way that wouldn't have, because they probably would never have seen you work out if that never happened. They would just know that you go off to the gym sometimes. And they've literally physically seen it now, and they know what you're doing, and then that you're able to then join your daughter in her gymnastics classes and her gymnastics moves. Like, I feel like that's probably quite tied in with the fact that your fitness has become, you've kind of intertwined it with your lifestyle. Like, it's impossible for me to think of you pre all of this, like not skating around or not doing these things. Like, it's quite a unique concoction that's kind of brought you to where you are.
But I think the things that I've learned in NicaFit have been so helpful, even in terms of like understanding like how it all works, and like, you know, it's not just about like killing yourself and going really hard. It's also about like mixing it up and like trying something a bit new. And so like even things like when I'm walking, like let's say I'm skating and there's a part of the journey that is like really bad for a skateboard for whatever reason, like there's the road shit or whatever. I've started like flicking my skateboard and catching it, just because it's like a strength exercise that I can do while I'm walking. It requires like a lot of like concentration on, because the board is like, you know, it's oddly shaped when you throw it and catch it, throw it and catch it. And you have to like tense your body while you're doing it. So there's all these different things that I'm starting to figure out that are like, you start to see the world differently. You start to see a electrical box, and now I see it, and I'm just like, I wonder if I could jump onto that.
Yeah.
You know,
And you probably can.
And I can most of the time.
Well, jumping is an interesting one because you're in the middle of documenting your challenge to dunk a basketball, which is quite a cool. I think that's quite a cool challenge to set for yourself, particularly when most people can probably, if they do a successful basketball dunk, I'm assuming they do it a lot earlier in their life. So
it's true.
This is a huge undertaking. Tell us a little bit more about that.
It's as simple as I used to play basketball when I was like in school, and like I'm originally from America, originally from Chicago, and I'm sure everyone knows who used to play for the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan. Yeah. So I was a kid watching Michael Jordan in that heyday of the 90s with Scottie Pippen, Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, Dennis Rodman. And like I remember like just watching Michael Jordan, like everyone in Chicago at the time, and it was just like it was like having your home team like have Ronaldo or Pele.
Yeah,
because like he's the greatest, he's the GOAT. Like most people would say that. At the very least, a very, very special, one of the most special players ever. And so I think I just always wanted to slam dunk. I always found that move incredibly inspiring. And it's like the bicycle kick, you know, for football or something. It's like as soon as you see someone about to dunk, you can't turn away. Yeah. There's like a few seconds where it's like, what's going to happen? Yeah. Like, is he going to miss it or is he going to make it? Or because it's such a hard thing to do. And especially when there's pressure on a defender or whatever, I don't think I'm going to dunk over anyone. I think I need to have the court clear if I'm ever going to dunk. But when I started Nikafit about 2 months in, I thought, oh, that'd be really fun to aim towards as a goal. You know, if I'm going to do this, let's do it. Let's have something fun to look forward to. And it also seemed like a really hard goal. Like I'm aware of that. Yeah, it's a hard goal. And it's still a very hard goal, to be honest.
Yeah. I think with fitness, having very achievable goals and then medium-term goals and then very long-term goals are really important because it kind of keeps you centered and on track, because if you're only ever shooting for the short-term goals, you can achieve them, maybe you fall short, and motivation is constantly dipping. Whereas if you have something like that way out in front of you, it's like there's no way I'll be able to do that, but I'm going to try. At least it's going to keep you trucking along, to at least to some extent, with your fitness goals, because this big thing is waiting for you at the end. But I'm pretty confident, as someone on the outside looking in, that you will do it.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah. I know nothing about basketball, but I have seen a few people do it. It looks like something that's very, very achievable for you.
Yeah, I think I can do it. I'm like a year into like training for that. And I think I could have done it by now if I really wanted to. If I wanted to prioritize that as like I have to do it by this date, I think I could do it. Yeah. But you know, there's lots of other shit that I'm interested in life. And like I go on all these tangents and I start like, you know, pursuing rock dancing instead for a while.
But, rock dancing, the new fad around Greystone's going to be rock dancing.
Well, it's just like, I just, because I was spending so much time on the rocks, I started then just exploring different things I could do on the rocks. And so it started with like just sitting there on the rocks. And then I realized, oh, if I just lift up myself like this, I can do like, you know, just tense my body, and oh, that's a bit of a workout. And it just went from there. And then before you knew it, I was doing like 20-minute circuits on like 4 different rocks. And I had a playlist, and I was like more organized. I'd written it down, and I was like timing myself, and I had the Met belt, and I was just like, and you know, it's just like, I love being in the gym and having like the coaches and everything, but it's also fun to just bring it out and explore other things and sort of test yourself in similar ways. But definitely felt like the stuff I learned and am learning in Nikafit just enabled me to do that stuff as well and be free. And experiment. Yeah,
and like the meditation side of things, we talk about music a lot, and we share music that we listen to. And during the Zoom classes, that was always a hot topic conversation, what songs were going to be played during your workout. Like the music side of it, I think, is important, and having that time to yourself where it's literally just you, what you're listening to and what you're doing. It's kind of unusual in the modern world, if you think about it, where those moments are pretty few and far between, especially if you have kids and a job and family, like you're being pulled in every direction. then you're in this mode all of a sudden where there's literally just one thing you're concentrating on, and there's something you're wanting to listen to. It's very kind of it's almost like a spiritual kind of experience. Like I experience it in the gym when I train with my own music. It's like I'm completely present, to use that word earlier. And it's so true with fitness. It's presentness, if that's a word, which is really hard to achieve with anything else. So what do you feel like when you're in those moments and you're jumping around the rocks? Like, what's the kind of sensation that you're feeling?
It's a weird one. It's like, the way I describe it to friends is like, it feels like I'm developing superpowers.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm sort of in a flow, like with my powers.
Yeah.
Because, I had to work to get here, and all of a sudden now I'm like liberated in movement, and all of a sudden I'm like dancing and experiencing like this view of the sea and the mountains every day. Mm-hmm. I can just have that whenever I want now.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't tire me to like skate to the rocks. It's just like easy.
Yeah.
Like I skate to Bray and I skate to like Kilcool, and that's just no bother. I just do it all the time. Mm-hmm. Like sometimes I'll, I could cover like 20 or 30K, with the skateboard. So it's the fact that I've enabled that, then it's like, it feels amazing when you're there and you're like, I can't believe I'm like listening to this music while looking at this.
Yeah.
And also one thing that I've been doing is like balancing more, like finding different rocks, like high points where there's a certain amount of like danger that you have to really concentrate, because obviously if you fall, it's a bad time. Mm-hmm. But it's like that also makes me more present. I feel like I stand on this one rock that looks like that, and it's like there's no rocks around it. Yeah. So it's one where you're like just up on a tip. It's like a mountaintop, it feels like. And I balance my 2 feet like that either side of it. And of course, when I first did it, it was really scary.
Yeah.
Like the first time I did it, I was just trying to stay standing.
Yeah.
But then over time, you end up doing all kinds of stuff. So like started doing like different poses, like looking out to sea. And this became a big pose for some reason. And just like framing, so the way I'm framing you, like your head. So I would frame like the side of Bray Head, looking towards Dublin and the horizon of the water. Yeah. And I just love looking at that visual. Yeah. And whatever feeling of like staying straight while balancing, it's like, your core is like vibrating and you just feel so present. Yeah. And you're just like breathing. Yeah. Exhaling, and you can just see like birds flying between. It's just amazing. Yeah. Like, and so I started doing that. I've been doing that for months now. Yeah. And actually the other night I was walking my dog, ran into a guy who lives in my neighborhood, and he said he's like teaching not Tai Chi, but it's a different one. It's like a stationary Tai Chi. He's like a coach. And he was actually showing me some poses, and he like showed me this pose. I was like, I've been doing that for like 3 months. Yeah. I didn't even know it was called. And he said something about it's like to do with opening your heart. Yeah. Like, anyway, sorry, we're rambling.
Cool. No, that's great. I love the ramble. And it's again, it's almost like that what that story says to me is like, that's your picture frame. Like obviously you're a filmmaker, you take pictures, you take videos, you're doing that, but you're doing it in reality. You're creating a frame for yourself to focus on. Yeah. It's like, it's bringing the two things together, your passion for visuals and seeing a scene that you like the look of, and then your ability to actually be there. It's quite cool. It's very cool.
And I love being able to just, similar to yourself in the gym, like you testing yourself, like getting that personal best, like working towards something and then achieving it is such a satisfying feeling. And so like being able to like try different things on the rocks, or try doing the same pose, but maybe with one foot, or try, balance on. Another one I do is I balance on one leg like this. Yeah. And I just see how low I can go. Yeah. With stability. Yeah. And then of course some days there's wind and rain, so you've got to contest with that as well. Yeah. And then it's like how long you hold it for, and all this sort of stuff. And it also informs you, like, oh, my left leg is much stronger than my right because of the skateboarding. Yeah. So maybe I need to like balance on my right a bit more when I'm on the rocks. And it's, so it's a teacher.
Yeah, it is. And it's like you've taken everything you've learned in the gym and applied it to your life and your life outside of the gym. That's that's your real life, because
Yeah.
being in the gym is great and hitting your personal best, but the other 168 hours of the week or whatever it is your life, and you're able to combine the two things. So if you were to talk to, let's say I was someone in your position 18 months ago, I'm thinking about joining the gym, thinking about joining Nikafit, what would you say to that person?
Give it a go, because your perception of what it is not true. Just isn't.
Yeah.
Like every single person I've talked to in Nikafit, like there's a natural reluctance, because there's definitely a perception of, oh, it's going to be hard, right? And then outside of that, you don't really know until you're in, and there's no way of knowing, because you're so conditioned by your whole life hearing about gyms and hearing about like what it looks like, but actually it looks very different once you're in.
Yeah.
I would say just give it a go. Like for me, I was never excited about joining a gym or the whole weightlifting thing. I think part of that was to do with my perception around, like, I didn't see the point in like getting all jacked and like having like an aesthetically pleasing body just for the sake of it, just so that you can then like walk like along a path and just look better or something. It's like, to me, it's like it had to be more than that. It had to be like something that then like enabled you to like walk on a tightrope or do like kite surfing. Like surely like that's the reason to do it. If anything, is to like have more fun in your life, or just enjoy food a bit more or whatever. It's like, and so once I came into Nikafit, it was like clear that Nikafit was going to help me do all that stuff. And, everything's better. Like food tastes better. Sex is better. Like just, you become a kid again. You can walk on walls and jump on high stuff.
Yeah.
And then when you jump off high stuff, like I'm going to my mate's house and I have to jump down a wall to like get to his house. But like before I would have been afraid of hurting myself. Yeah. Now like my knees and my ankles are conditioned and I'm stronger. So
you absorb the force and you'll be able to jump down. Just like a kid would.
Yeah. So like that's the reason to do it.
I think it's funny because in this game, it's so easy to get caught up in all the real serious stuff of the clients want this, the gym needs this, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But other than do no harm, which is like the overall the most important thing with everything, is the most important thing about a training session is that the people have fun. That's something that you forget when you ask maybe a younger coach or a newer personal trainer what's the most important thing about a workout. They'll probably say that they get an effective session, that they get their technique dialed in. It's like, no, the absolute most important thing is that they come in and have a good time, leave the gym feeling better than when they came in. And I think you're kind of like the best definition of that I've ever come across, because you don't just say that you enjoy fitness. It's like fitness is part of your whole life. So it's clearly something that you enjoy. That's clearly something that you derive enjoyment from, because if it was just a means to an end, it wouldn't have happened like that. No.
And I don't think I was attracted to that as like, oh, now I just do the fitness thing in the gym with the weights. And then I just go back to like my existing life of like, you drive here, you drive there, you edit, you kind of, to me, it always felt like the whole point of doing the gym stuff is to then like enable you to do life.
Yeah.
And in life, you're often lifting stuff that isn't balanced.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I love the rocks.
Yeah.
Because the rocks, like they sort of joined my journey, like maybe 8 or 9 months in, where I built up a certain amount of conditioning to feel safe, like walking across the rocks at first, but then eventually running, and like you, it's you have to really concentrate, and you're obviously not jumping between like flat boxes.
Yeah.
You're jumping between like rocks that sometimes have like loose parts of the rock or little bits of moss, or if it's been raining, and all that is like a challenge.
Yeah.
And you have to adjust, and you have to jump off the side of a rock, and it's so much fun, you know, and it's testing you in a different way. Obviously things are much more balanced in the gym.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. And balance is like a huge part of it as well. Like you're using balance in the literal sense, but balance for your whole life. So the fitness has helped you liberate yourself, which has probably improved your ability to do everything else in your life.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great lesson to anyone who'd be listening to this thinking maybe you're in the same position as Joey. You're coming into the gym completely new to the game, absolutely no idea what to do. Again, your expectations might be that it's going to be too challenging or too difficult or a very intimidating environment. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
I think listening to you speak makes me excited about fitness, and I'm someone who's made a career out of it, but you bring that out in me. Because again, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the more kind of nitty gritty details and forget why we do this, forget why a gym like NickFit actually exists. It's changing lives through fitness. It's results-based personal training. That's obviously what we do, but it's also building our lives around something that is so enjoyable and so beneficial. There's no downside to it. It's only going to be a good thing, whether it's coming in and doing one session or a 30-minute walk at the very beginning to, what you're doing now, which is training at a pretty high level and skateboarding all around Greystones and jumping across the rocks. Yeah.
Well, ultimately, right? Do you know what it's about? It's about how short life is, Jack.
Yeah.
That's the reality. Yeah. It's like we don't know how many days we're going to have, and at a certain point, you have to decide. Well, I personally felt like I had to decide, like, what kind of life do I want to live, genuinely, and then you just kind of work backwards towards that, and you make choices every day that build towards that, and support your beliefs about what you want in life. So for me, like I've always wanted to prioritize relationship. That's always been like the number one thing for me, and so that's informed everything. Personally, and I love having fun. I love being a kid. I love being happy and being positive, and I think like my wife and my kids, they deserve someone in their family that's happy and positive. They inspire me all the time to look at the world in a sort of glass half full sort of way, and the least I can do is like take care of myself and inspire them too.
There you go. I think
and like you inspire me, like Danielle who's recording this, like she inspires me. We all inspire each other. We create culture every day. And so there is this like weird paradox in being human where you're like, oh, I'm so insignificant. And that's true. But you're also really significant. It's weird. It's because like, one little thing that you do, maybe you say hello to someone on the street, or maybe you smile at someone. That could be the difference between them like having a good day and a bad day. Or we're all connected. We're all part of the same species. And so, let's inspire each other. Let's keep inspiring each other. Let's like encourage each other. Let's be positive. Let's take that seriously. Like I take it seriously, like to inspire you, as my coach, and I know you take it seriously to inspire me.
Well, there you go. I think that's a tremendous point to end, because I think there's life lessons there. There's lessons to be drawn for everyone. It's obviously such a pleasure to chat to you. We hang out outside the gym as well as in a professional coach-client relationship. We have our own kind of vibe going on. We listen to our tunes, and I think anyone who listens to this can't help but feel the energy that you're pumping out over the airwaves here.
That's awesome.
So thanks so much for joining us, Joey. That was really, really enjoyable, and I think you're talking about inspiring people. I'd be shocked if you haven't inspired a good few people listening to this, because you've inspired me.
That's awesome. That's cool to hear, man. Thanks.
No problem. Well, thank you so much for listening. Joey Von Medding, where can we find you? Social media, check out the Wonder Brothers. Check out the Wonder Brothers. Really excited about our new thing. Me and Greg, we're trying to make videos that also inspire. Check us out on Instagram, or check me out, JV Medding. I'm sure it'll be tagged and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely. Well, there you go. Check them out, and thank you so much for listening.
Damn it.
We should have saved that for the podcast. Yeah. What the fuck? Shit.